This is the DJI Mavic Pro 4 and we're in Tallinn, Estonia to tell you all about it. So you'll notice on the front of the drone, there are actually 3 different lenses, all with their own sensor. All these lenses are made by Hasselblad and they have a variety of focal lengths for you. So the wide lens, which is the most wide, is actually a 28mm lens, and the sensor that has is a 4/3" sensor. So that is actually the largest sensor of the bunch. That's probably because that's the lens that I see most people using on a day-to-day basis. That lens is a 28mm, as I just said, but previously on the other drones, the wide lens was often a 24mm. So why is it a little bit tighter? Well, that's because the tilt axis on this gimbal can go down a full 90 degrees and up 70 degrees, having 400 degrees of total control. Now, when you were shooting at those really extreme angles previously on the 24mm lens, sometimes the propellers got into the frame and then that obviously kind of ruined your video clips because there's suddenly propellers flying through the shot. So that 28mm is just a little bit tighter to make sure that that doesn't happen. Then we have the medium lens, which is the equivalent of 70mm. That has a 1/1.5" sensor, so a little bit smaller than the wide one, but as I said, I don't think people will use these quite as much as that wide one. Then we move on to the long lens, which is a whopping 168mm equivalent. So that is really, really tele, actually. So it's perfect for if you can't get that close to your subject, or just the fact that actually utilizing all these 3 lenses, you can shoot almost anything. So I think that's really cool. The sensor on that long lens is a 1/1.3". So again, a little bit smaller, but that just kind of comes with the territory. Doesn't bother me at all. The image quality of all of these lenses, in my opinion, is superb. But the thing that DJI pointed out to us, which I thought was really, really brilliant, was that they've massively improved color matching between these lenses. And that's all sort of to do with these bespoke sensors that they've done for each bit of glass. What that means is that on previously some of the other DJI drones, they didn't color match that well. So even if you were to shoot the same scene in the same light, if you were to switch between the different focal lengths, there would be quite a noticeable difference, which just caused a lot of issues when it came to the grade. But that is not a worry on this drone because they've color matched them much closer, as you can see in this video footage. But you may have noticed while I've been doing this piece of camera, I've been flailing this drone around and I don't have a battery in it. And that's because I wanted to tell you all about the battery that comes with this drone, because you get a whopping 51 minutes of battery life. And to the person who doesn't use drones very often, that might not sound that good, but actually for a drone, that's really impressive. The old Mavic 3 used to do 45 minutes. So yes, it's a 6-minute improvement. Again, it doesn't sound like a lot, but that's actually sort of over a 10% improvement in battery life. Probably the most important spec in my eyes when it comes to drones is the actual video that it can shoot. And you'll be happy to know I'm really impressed. When it comes to the wide lens, you can actually shoot an amazing 6K up to 60p, so that's tons of resolution, and that's primarily because this one has the largest sensor. When it comes to the other two, they can't shoot 6K, they can shoot a maximum resolution of 4K, but that's still plenty for the medium and long lens. So the 4K that comes out of the wide lens and the medium lens also goes all the way up to 120p. So that's 4 times slow-mo when shooting in 4K. When it comes to the slightly longer lens, it's a little bit less, so it's 4K up to 100p rather than 120. All 3 lenses also have a dual base ISO, so if you're filming in those lower light environments, you can maximize dynamic range. Now, that brings me nicely onto the dynamic range of this drone, because when you're using the wide lens, which is sort of the best lens, you're going to get the most options with it, you get up to 16 stops of dynamic range. The previous Mavic 3 only had 12.8, so that's quite a big improvement. We've been shooting in really harsh light, really contrasty environments, so that's a really good test of that dynamic range. When making the most of that dynamic range, you also are able to shoot in D-Log, which is the flat log profile. So of course, you're going to be able to have a bit more color control there. And that goes perfectly with the fact that it records in 10-bit as well, so you're getting lots of detail. You can also film in all intra, which is actually going to give you essentially a bit more video compression, meaning you can shoot more video using less data, and of course, making that edit turnaround a lot quicker. When it comes to stills, you get over double the megapixel than the Mavic Pro 3, offering 100 megapixels on the wide lens, 50 on the medium, and 48 on the tele. When it comes to actually flying this thing around, they've improved the speed when you're using the sport mode, and it now maxes out at 90 kilometers per hour. The previous one was 75. 90k is insane, so you can get some really good stuff if you want to capture action. Also, if you are capturing that action, then the autofocus has been massively improved. It used to need the subject to fill about 10% of the frame for it to be able to easily pick up that subject, and now it only needs 5%. So you can just select that on the screen and it will find your subject significantly easier. One of the things that's really exciting about this Mavic Pro 4 is the fact that they also have a brand new controller for it. And unfortunately, we weren't given the controller with this product, so I'm not going to be able to sort of show you exactly how it's used, but they have given me lots of information on how it works. I think one of the really exciting things about it is for when you're filming in portrait or vertical mode. Previously, it had a horizontal orientation on the screen, which meant that if you were filming in vertical or portrait, there was 2 black bars along the side of the screen. You couldn't really see that well what image you were capturing. But now with the new design, you can actually just simply rotate that screen. Of course, then meaning that when you're shooting in vertical, you're utilizing the entirety of that. That screen itself is 7.2 inches. So when you're shooting in that vertical mode, it's actually a total of 5.5 times bigger, which is obviously a massive improvement. That screen is actually 10-bit as well, rather than the previous 8-bit version. So of course, you're going to get much more accurate colors. And it's also double the brightness. Previously it was 1000 nits and now it's 2000. So it's much better for filming in really bright conditions. But ultimately what that really means is that the image you're going to be seeing on the screen is much closer to the image you'll see when you then put it into your computer. This new remote is also 750 grams, so it's not all that heavy, and it has a bunch of new features. One that I really want to tell you about is the fact that you can live stream via this controller, and you can do that to various social platforms. But it doesn't just stop there, because the controller also has a microphone built into it, which means that then when you're doing that live stream, I can also talk to the remote, and that will come through the live feed so that my viewers can hear exactly what I'm saying as I'm flying around. In terms of storage, it has 512 gigabytes of internal storage, which obviously is massive and allows you to shoot an absolute ton of video or photos before ever worrying about it. So when it comes to not bumping into stuff, DJI have kitted it out with 6 fisheye sensors to make sure that it can see what's around it. These sensors are actually significantly higher resolution than some of the previous drones, so of course they're going to render more accurate detail and then make sure that you're less likely to be bumping into things. But the thing that I'm really impressed with, and although unfortunately I haven't really had much opportunity to try it, DJI said that it can shoot and fly around with obstacle avoidance down to 0.1 lux. To put it into context, DJI have said that it can actually fly without bumping into anything with just the light of one singular candle. Overall, I'm really impressed by this drone because in my eyes, you had the Mavic 3 and then you had the Inspire range. And the jump between the Mavic 3 and the Inspire range was huge, not only just in quality, but very much so in price, the Inspire range being a very premium range of drones. This new one just kind of brings the Mavic series a little bit closer to what the Inspire offer, but for a significantly lower price point. And they haven't updated the controller in a really long time, so actually I think that new controller will stay relevant for many years to come. That's it from me. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Any questions, you know where to put them, straight down below, and I'll see you in the next video.